YouTube and welcome to Watch On channel. My name is Anders and in this video I'm going to continue the walkthrough of Baselworld 2017, the world's biggest watch fair where a lot of big watch brands are introducing their new models for 2017. And this year has produced quite a bit of interesting watches, and in this video I'm going to go through 5 very interesting dive watches that was introduced at this Baselworld 2017. I previously did a video about the 5 most interesting chronographs, which you can look at a later point. You will find a link to it at the end of this video. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so by hitting the logo button down in the right corner. So let's get started with these 5 very interesting dive watches that were introduced at this year's Baselworld. And the first one is, of course, a 50th anniversary of the Rolex Seadrill. So the Rolex Seadrill Oyster Perpetual was released this year in a version with a larger case and a modern caliber. So this is one of the interesting famous dive watches from Rolex. And what they did this time around was that instead of having a watch with a diameter of 40 millimeters, it's now 43 millimeters. They also fitted it with a ceramic bezel insert, and of course they also at the dial of the watch wrote Sea Dweller with red. So the first Seadrill was introduced in 1967, so it's exactly 50 years ago that the first Seadrill was introduced. And well, what the Seadrill was able to do that the Submariner, the most famous Rolex dive watch, wasn't, is that the Seadrill can go to larger depths. So the new Seadrill is water resistant down to 1,220 meters, which is equivalent to 4,000 feet. The old one was only to 2,000 feet and 610 meters, only I say, because this my bet would be that not many people buying this watch are ever going to dive with it. It's a luxury watch. So they added 3 millimeters to the size to really differentiate it from the Submariner, which is only 40 millimeters. And finally, they also fitted it with the Rolex caliber 3235, which is a self-winding movement, of course, with a lot of innovative technical details, and even some of them are patented. So Rolex called this movement a professional grade movement, and called the watch a professional grade watch. What is actually very interesting with the accuracy of this movement in this Seadrill watch is that it's accurate to -2 to +2 seconds per day. This makes it a superlative chronometer. It can get an S. It gets this superlative chronometer certification, which was actually instituted by Rolex themselves in 2015. So a very interesting watch, very kind of more masculine, chunky watch that also with its bracelet comes with the trip lock. With this very nice micro adjustment in the clasp, so you will get a watch that actually is living up to all modern standards you would expect from a high-end luxury dive watch. This watch retails at about 11,350 American dollars, so it's definitely not a cheap watch, but it will certainly become very popular. I think that a lot of people were really waiting for Rolex to release a more casual dive watch at this size. Okay, and moving on to another interesting Swiss watch brand, which is Hamilton watches. And this is in a whole other price range, but nonetheless, it's an automatic Swiss dive watch. And this is the Hamilton Khaki Navy Scuba. What I really like is the details on the dial and the bezel insert. If we look at the dial, you get these nice applied hour markings You get a very nice Hamilton logo at 24 or 12 o'clock, a date window at just about 4:30, yeah, about 4:30, and also an orange second hand. If we look at the bezel insert, we get this nice orange and black color combination where with the first 15 minutes marked in orange. So I really like the kind of fresh color combination they did with this watch. The watch comes in stainless steel. It measures 40 millimeters, which I really like. I like the fact that they actually did a watch that is 40 millimeters and didn't go all aboard with the big 44 and or 45 millimeter watches. I think it's becoming too much with a lot of watch brands just making these really big watches, and I think you will see that in the next few years we will actually move towards smaller size watches or more regular size watches, and a 40 millimeter dive watch is a perfect size. So this has AR coated sapphire crystal, and it's water resistant down to 100 meters. So this is a criticism I would like to point towards this watch, that well, a dive watch only water resistant down to 100 meters isn't exactly a dive watch. They should at least have had 200 meters, but still, if we look at all the other stuff that comes with this watch, I think it's quite great. So it's fitted with the Hamilton caliber H10, which is based on an ETA movement. It has 25 joules and it moves at 21,600 vibrations per hour. But the most interesting thing about this, it has a power reserve of 80 hours. This is absolutely amazing that you can just take this watch away for more than 3 whole days and it will still be running. So you don't have to always set the time and shake this watch to get it running again. So very nice. They fitted this moving into it. Also, it's the hour markings and the hands are filled with superluminova, so you will get a very shiny bright lume. Also, it comes on a steel bracelet or a bicolor NATO strap, and I actually really like this NATO strap. It looks very nice. I'm actually today wearing my Hamilton Pan Europe, which also comes on a NATO strap, an in-house homemade NATO strap from Hamilton, and I must say the NATO straps are of a high quality. So I really think that this watch is a very nice pick for kind of a desk diver watch at an affordable price. It retails at a price just about around 700 American dollars. So this is a very nice price for an automatic Swiss dive watch. And moving on to another Swiss brand, and of course we're talking Omega. And Omega has released a new version of the Cmaster. This is the Cmaster 300 coaxial master chronometer. And this very interesting point with this watch is, of course, it's a look back to 1957. It's a part of the 57 trilogy with the Speedmaster and the Railmaster. But also a very interesting thing with this watch is that it's the first Seamaster 300 they fitted with the master chronometer. This means that you get a very high-end movement in this watch. The watch should be available in stores starting May 2017. A really nice thing about this watch is that also they actually fitted it, made the movement anti-magnetic, so you actually get an anti-magnetic movement with this watch, which means if you're near any kind of machinery or high electricity, you will actually be able to keep the time with this watch. Also, what I really also like is the size they chose. Just like I just talked about the Hamilton, which is 40 millimeters, they kept to a vintage size with this watch and keeping it to 39 millimeters, which I think is really nice. It gives it a really more of a casual size, a more also dressy size, and with the looks of this watch without a date window, I think it's actually kind of a dress diver. It's a very handsome watch. If we look at the hour markings and the hands, they fitted it with superluminova, but they did make it this kind of vintage yellow, and this it's all a matter of taste. It looks great, but on real vintage watches, I'm not a super big fan of doing this kind of fake patina to the luminous material, but still. Also, I really like the detail with this big, very noticeable and very easy to handle crown they fitted with this watch. A very kind of vintage way of doing it. It's water resistant down to 30 bar, which is equivalent of 300 meters or 1,000 feet. So it's a real dive watch, and also of course fitted in stainless steel. So this is a very beautiful watch in my opinion. I think it's a very interesting watch that they are doing with this new Seamaster, also in this trilogy. But still, as a Seamaster, it's a very nice offering, and you get a bi-directional, not a unidirectional, but actually like with many vintage dive watches, a bi-directional bezel. So now we're moving to Japan, and of course, if you are into watches, you will already have guessed that we're talking about Seiko. So Seiko are actually re-releasing the first dive watch they ever did, which they released a long time ago, 50 years ago, and they're releasing a new Prospects diver. The first one was released back in 1965, and now they're re-releasing this Prospects diver with a modern touch, of course. So this is called the SLA 017, and this is an ISO standard dive watch. So very interesting offering that they are actually re-releasing this watch, and also it's a very um, non-affordable watch when we're talking about Seiko. What is interesting with this watch is that it's of course has a box-shaped sapphire crystal, and it's water resistant down to 200 meters. I also really like how they kept it in these kind of white and black colors. It looks very sharp, and also this rubber strap they fitted it with, it looks amazing. And just like with the Omega, I like the big crown. I think it's a really nice touch with modern dive watches that you still can get the big crown. I think this big crown really looks great, just like on some of the Tudor dive watches, the newer ones. So with this movement, you get an accuracy of minus 10 to plus 15 seconds a day, which is perfectly acceptable. It's a really it's a nice accuracy for a watch at this price range. Also, the movement has a 50-hour power reserve, so that's a quite nice touch with this. So a not so nice touch about this watch, detail about this watch, it's the price. This watch is priced at 3,800 euros. This is a very high price for a Seiko dive watch, which isn't in the Grand Seiko line. So you really have to be a big fan of this re-edition of the Seiko dive watch to buy this watch, because it's a very high price. You don't need to save much more money before you can buy a Submariner second-hand, pre-owned. And this is the Rado Hyperchrome Captain Cook watch. So this came as a big surprise. Actually, Rado made a Captain Cook dive watch back in 1962, and they're actually keeping much of the same design features and a lot of stuff for this watch to really pay homage to what happened back then. So what is very interesting with this watch is that it measures only 37 millimeters. So they are actually probably one of the only watch companies this year to make a re-edition of an old watch which actually is faithful to the old sizes. I really like the fact that they kept it at this 37 millimeters, even though I think it actually becomes a bit too small for my wrist. But what this watch, when you look at this watch, you can see that the bezel is quite chunky. It's quite big bezel, and this will make the watch appear bigger on your wrist than what you will probably think when it only measures 37 millimeters. What we get is a very also vintage inspired, of course, because it's a re-edition of what they did back in the days. Bezel, I like this really simple 15, 30, and 45 minutes. Also, you get the the date marking, the date wheel at 3 o'clock, just besides the crown, and a very simple dial with the Rado. Also, it says Captain Cook, which is this is an homage to Captain Cook, and also just below the 12 o'clock, you get this white anchor with a red background. A cool feature with this is actually that the anchor moves when you move the watch. So the anchor is not fitted to not move, it's actually moving, which is very, very cool. Also, when we look at the Omega Cmaster I presented you with just a few minutes ago, what they did with the hands and the hour markers with the luminous materials with this watch, they made it a brighter or more lightly kind of yellow, which doesn't give too much of that fake patina look. I'm not personally so big a fan of. So another nice feature with this watch is that the case is of course polished stainless steel, but it's only 11 millimeters thick, so it makes for a very, very comfortable, very nicely worn watch. The watch is built up upon an ETA movement which they call the C07.611. So the watch is water resistant down to 100 meters. And it does also come in a 45 millimeter version if you like the bigger watches. This is made out of titanium, and the bigger version is water resistant down to 200 meters. So this is not a totally cheap watch, but still kind of a fair price of such a special, very, very high quality dive watch, Swiss dive watch. So it's going to retail at about 1,800 American dollars, but my guess would be that it will become a few $100s cheaper if you look around the different sites and different boutiques. So this was 5 interesting dive watches from the Baselworld 2017. Remember to subscribe to my channel by hitting the logo button down in the right corner. Remember to follow me and the channel on Instagram and Facebook. Leave a comment and a thumbs up, and you can also email me if you have any questions or just would like to talk about watches. My name is Anders, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.